Hey, good morning, everybody. How are we all? We are here at another live broadcast, BYP, where I explore some chess with you. And I have really games to show you today. I'm not kidding. You're going to love these. I don't think you've ever seen them before. They're just not out there in the public. And let's say good morning to, hey, Ella Glavi Sup. Yeah, they're here. Username. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for showing up. Appreciate it. Yeah, stay as long as you can. It's all good. So today, my board's behind me over here. I'll move my computer over there in a minute. I was saying I've got some really fantastic miniatures to show you. Miniatures, I think my definition, the chess definition of miniatures is games that are 25 moves or less. And many of these miniatures I have are only 15 to 19 moves where they just blam, blam, blam decide the game because of some tactics, really superb strategy. And then I have several traps, interesting traps that I'm going to show you from openings. Some of them are famous, some of them are infamous, but these periodically, this comes from an old book I have of chess traps. So I don't know how prominent these traps are, but I'm going to show them to you. I know you'll recognize one or two of them, but I think I'll surprise you with a few others. And I agree with the grandmasters when they say, look, don't play for traps. Hey, Brian J. Good morning. How are you? Don't specifically study so that all you do is play for traps, because the issue with that is if your opponent doesn't make the exact right kind of moves, sometimes your position can be pretty darn difficult, right? So you want to be careful. Hey, Ken, good to see you. Thanks for showing up. Yes, we're doing live. I'm going to do some miniatures, chess miniatures here in a few minutes. The folks come wandering in and do some chess traps for you. I know last week there's quite a few of you who reached out to me and said, "Wow, that was fun. That was cool to see those chess traps. Do more of those and do some more miniatures." So I'm going to do those. But you want to keep the fundamentals in mind. Let's go ahead and go over here. You want to keep the fundamentals in mind. Since Juicer is only going to be here for a few minutes, I want to show some of these miniatures real quick for his sake, because he loves miniatures too. Who among us doesn't love miniatures, right? Miniatures is what makes us keep coming back to chess. Juicer for you, my friend. Let me do a couple of these miniatures, and then you can get out of here, and I'll follow up with doing some more chess traps also. So here is one of the really cool games. This is Webster versus Ellis, and this happened in our lifetime. Some of us, 1971. Sure, absolutely, Juicer. Absolutely. Appreciate you being here. So here we go. Let me just play through this. D4 and E6 and E4 central, of course. And then okay, let me make sure I do this right. D5. I'm trying to write my handwriting better so that I don't mess up. My E's and C's look so much alike. I'm really trying to. So he brings the bishop out, and now the D is going to take the E. It's gone. Let's get out of here, dear. And now he directly confronts the pawn with the F pawn. Okay, so here's the setup. Now, rather than continuing doing this, you're going to do the development. Going to get the knight out, and so is white. E2 gets the knight out, and now he will take F3. So he's made a pawn beeline right over to the king's side. And then, of course, that gives the knight a chance to develop with tempo, taking the pawn. And bishop's going to come to D6 bring out the king bishop, the dark square is the king bishop on black, and then he also will put bishop b3 and now bring your knight. So they're bringing good pawn, they're bringing in good central stuff, and now gently bumping, giving a small support for the center. Queen e2, that's going to be an important queen bump here in just a few minutes. Now, knight decides to come to c4. So here's the first charge toward acquiring some influence on the other side of this middle line into the black territory. And bishop bump. He wants to keep his bishop. And now bishop g5, put the pin on the knight. That is pretty standard stuff. And now he's going to rearrange his pieces so that he can begin hitting the center knight c to e5, and he does not swap. He says, hold on, I want to hang on to that. I like that knight. And he says, okay, yeah, let's both centralize the knight. They're both outposts, etc., which is really nice. And of course, and that's a good move, hit the knight, the c4 and the h6. So he's going to say, well, all right, if you want to focus on the knight, taking the knight, I'm going to go ahead and take the bishop. And he says, okay, get the knight out of the center. And he says, okay, undo the pin on my knight. H takes g5. And now white has this. Knight takes g5. And he responds black in the center. E will take the d5 pawn. And now comes the first blast. Can you see it? This is really cool to see. Just look at that board for a moment. Everyone says, pause the video and look at it. You look at it for a quick sec. Here, white does a really cool move. And it's really look. You put him on the semi-open file. Kablam, take the knight. And you're saying, well, he's down the exchange somewhat. He is. The rook goes down the exchange for a reason. So, queen will take the rook. Nice little fork on both those knights, right? And you're going, is white in trouble here? Look again at that board. White's got a real interesting position. Bishop h7 jack. The fight is on. Kind of cool. Oops, we gotta move the king. There's only one square. King h8. Now the follow-up. Typical. It's absolutely typical. Queen h5. Yeah. You've got the attack, and here he resigned. Right? And what I did is I thought, all right, well, why did he resign? I mean, in a way. Let's say queen goes to h6. Yeah. If I did this right, then this knight, not this knight. And here's where I may have muffed up on my thinking. I don't know. You guys can correct me if you want. Knight's going to go check. And the rook has to take knight because of the fork. And then there you go. Knight takes the rook, check, and the queen is gone. So he'll be a queen up. So, kind of interesting. So there's one of the really cool. Let me mark this off so I don't replay it. One of the really cool little chess miniatures that I thought was fun. By the way, while I'm resetting up this board, I had a really, really, really good study / training session last night. I actually won 80% of my games against the computer, and I just did not expect to be in the 80 percentile for another couple of weeks. So I'm in a pretty good mood this morning. I'm saying, okay, look, I'm going to call that progress. I won eight out of 10 games. I went back just for my training purposes for the time being for a few weeks back to level three, which is cool stuff. But it does get me practice. It keeps helping me learn how to do combinations and all that. So anyway, yeah, I had a great session last night. 8 out of 10. I'm thrilled to death. Okay, let's say hi to everybody. Jim, hey, thank you. You're very kind, my friend. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll show more of Name's games too, Jim. Don't worry about it. He's not getting out of this alive. And AK-47, hey, hey, good to see you. And Eunice Mosa, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, my friend. Anyway, Juicer's got to take off here pretty quick, so I promised him I'd do a couple of these quick chess miniatures, and I also have several chess traps that I'm going to show all you guys. So for Juicer baby, yeah, brother. Uh, let's let's do another quick short one. This is an exceptionally interesting E6. As we know, miniatures are just games that last for between 10 and 25 moves. Most of them last an average of about 15 moves, like this one. So he hits the center. Someone just does their tactics correctly. Usually it's tactics that wipe out the opponent in a miniature. So again, and I have been advised and I've been told I have to learn tactics. And this is one fun way to see why you want to study tactics. Really cool. Queen takes d5, d4 follow up, and now, of course, bring the knight. Support the queen. Nobody's going to be able to take the queen now. The queen is supported. Aha. Now b6, he wants to be in Keto. Kind of cool. And bishop c. Of course, come on. The queen's out. Hit the queen. That makes sense. And then just go back home. See the Romanian international master, Alex Bonzi. He says, when you go out there and do your business and you're done and someone attacks you, go back home. I love that kid. He is so cool. Sharp as a whip. He's fun. Once you get used to his accent, he is really spectacular. So here we go. Yeah, we've got the long P and Keto. So can he make that work for him is the question. And now some tree. We are about to find out. Eight. He's really too undeveloped to go ahead and zip down there and take that knight unless he has a really good reason to. And it's unlikely five. Make sure I get the knight. Knight to d7. And he's going to bump f4. Give the knight some support. And he's going to push c5. Coming to the side. And now queen e2. I should say coming up the side of the center, but hitting the center. Now queen e2, and now the pawn, c will take d, c takes d, and now white does something cool. So it looks like there's some action over here. White pulls the trigger here. Knight is going to go up to f7. And you go, whoa, yeah. You want to watch those. Those knights can be so tricky. So it does give him a piece. And again, this is the tactics. This is what makes miniatures, right? So now you come up here in e6 check. He's got the queen bishop battery. Yeah, that is slick, isn't it? And that forces the king out. Bishop d3 check. And it's here that he resigns. Because it's checkmate very soon. So that's what they mean by a miniature, is they say, these come by so fast, so hard, so furious. So there's the second test miniature. I've got a couple more, and I've got some traps I'll show you. Like I say, they do follow fundamental principles, more or less. But don't just play chess for the chess trap, even though they're cooler than I'll get out to put out there. Hey, Rick. Oh, thank you, Rick from Michigan. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to. I've been doing this for years and gotten nowhere cool. All right, I'm going to change. I've got to change of heart. I am going to defy the odds for chess for me. See what I've got through the up and coming years. Woohoo! A lot of fun, a lot of hard work ahead of me, but it's all good as long as you play while you work, right? I mean, yeah, you got to get the book knowledge. There is some advantage to getting the book knowledge. You really do have to get the practical stuff too. And that's what we're doing. So, okay. I'm a little bit different than the other guys on electronics. They can just push one button. I'll show you another gun. I've got to do this by hand. Let me show you a quick little trap. You're probably familiar with this one, user. Now, I made a short of this other one, but I'm going to do this quick. And it's all good if you are, but this is a famous trap. There's grandmasters who've been trapped by this one. And I have also, when I was up at Rick's College years and years and years ago, went to an evening tournament, and I actually got this one in on a guy. It's really cool to see it. I had studied it that day, and I remembered just enough to pull it off, and it was really cool. And I won that game because of this trap. No kidding. Pump three, and then the rook will pop back and forth. This is a typical Ruy Lopez. This is the Spanish opening. I'm sorry, I should have told you that. King and queen knight, then the bishop to 10. And so, anyway, we're pretty familiar with this. Bishop rook 4, and now I pull his other knight, and he pulls his other knight. So we've got all the knights out. So now it's time to strengthen the center because the knights are all hitting vital central squares. So you gotta protect, and sure enough, he's gonna zip it right up there and challenge it. And now, about this point, before you, especially in the Spanish, there's tension in the center and all that. You've got your minor pieces are either fully developed or just about fully developed. That is when you want to say, okay, now we choose the bishop way, right? So the bishop comes back. So now pawn queen knight 4, bishop knight 3, and now you release the tension. Pawn takes pawn. But here's a very interesting problem is when the knight retakes the pawn. Remember this one. This is cool. There's the problem. Knight takes the queen pawn is the issue because now you go right ahead and take that knight with your knight. You see what it's inviting? This is really so cool to see because the queen is going to see a free knight. Now it's been an exchange, of course, but now you can hit the queen. And it really doesn't matter where she moves after this. Let's just say for kicks and giggles, she comes back home. Then you push that, and you're a piece up. And you notice that you did that with tempo. You didn't lose any time. You didn't have to really hurry and set it up because of the way you exchanged with your knight. And the queen jumped out there to make sure the exchange happened. That epitomized. I believe this is called the Noah's Ark. I can't remember exactly what that is. This one, fun little trap in the Ruy Lopez though. So hopefully Juicer is still around long enough to see that one. Oh, it looks like he's already gone. It's all good. Okay, so for the rest of us, just so those of you who don't know who he is, username is in the He's in the Backyard Professor Leach's fan club, and he is seriously very good. He won't admit it. He's very gentle, he's very humble, and he's very, very, very good. I mean, the man knows chess inside and out. I think he's a grandmaster. I'm not sure. We're not sure. He won't talk about it much, but he does always give us advice and help and all that, and he is spectacular. So I really appreciate him showing up and supporting. He does gently nudge me, and sometimes he'll give me a quick backhand slap. He says, "You know better than to make that move. You got to start thinking tactics." I love that guy. He's awesome. He's kind of a cool behind the scenes teacher helper. So anyway, that's why I make a big deal about it. He is as important as all of the rest of you. So yeah, Juicer baby. Oh, he's still here. Oh no, you weren't supposed to hear me rant and rave about your brother. No, it's all good. I every so let's do let's do you want me to do more traps or you want to see another miniature? Why don't you hurry up and say in the comments real quick? I mean, guys, I've got hours of traps I could show you for real. I wrote down one, two, three, four miniatures. I've done two, and they're always fun because they're so full of tactics. Also, traps. Oh, this particular book that I'm getting these out of it's a really old book. It really is, and it was fun in my teenage years. Irving Chernev. I don't know if you've ever even heard of him. Man, this is back when Tartan was the chess producing publishing company, winning chess traps by Irving Chernev. Fun stuff. Really cool guy. And apparently he was really, really quite a good chess player in his day. Looks like, okay, miniatures, miniatures, miniatures. Okay. All right, cool. Let's do another miniature. And I'll follow up with some traps. Then I have a bonus game that I would really like to share with you that I played last night late, and I won. To come at the end of this. Let's do some more important stuff. Okay, this one begins with knight f3, and now d5, and now d4. So he bluntly meets, and these two are having a discussion about how nice the weather is. These, in Bob Ross's words, are happy, and they're having a conversation. And now bishop f5. Bishop comes out there. Pew! This guy is going to support this guy because this guy's starting to get belligerent in their happy conversation. He's trying to convince him that he is correct and he's wrong. So we'll see. And so his little brother comes up and says, "No, he's right." And he's saying, "No, he's right." So this is how this works. All right, stop it already. Knight c3, knight f6. So the development's going good. Notice how for black, in a way, this is kind of like a London setup, isn't it? Isn't that similar to a London bishop and a setup somewhat? That's kind of fun to see. Just saying. Okay, a3. He'll put the kibosh on the bishop putting the pin on that. That's what that move is about. It's a prophylactic move. Sometimes they're useful. For the most part, I don't see a lot of people recommending them. A lot of the times, I've I've done moves like this. You have to. Sometimes it works. The downside to this, in the up front, yeah, it does limit the bishop somewhat, at least in doing or whatever. But later on, this provides what they call a hook. It's something to actually attack and help black create a weakness white's queen side. So later on in the game, while this becomes a good little preventative up front, later on it can turn into a very serious problem. So it's up to you, of course, to try to make it so that it's not a serious problem. But I've heard both pros and cons both ways with this. And here we go. Uh, so he prevents him from coming and putting the pin on, and yet White's bishop comes out and says check to the black king. Dastardly bishop. And of course, you can block check easy enough. You can do it this way. You can do it either way. You can do it C3. The problem with that is it'll double your pawns up if he takes. I don't know if you want to. You can deal with double pawns if you want. If you go here, right? He'll take, and then you've got the double pawn, and those can be a weakness. In fact, they already are a weakness because that front pawn is usually the target in double pawns. So, yeah, you went this way to avoid that. He's covered by the knight and the queen and the king. You don't want to retake with the king in case he takes. Though, leave your king. Right. So, whew, there's a long-winded explanation for a whole lot of noise. So, and now a typical full thrust is the knight up, and that's not a permanent outpost, but it's a pretty good one, and it does put pressure deep into black territory. Usually, the response to that's going to be, oh, sorry. Usually, the response to that's going to be an exchange of knights, or at least the moving of the guard with the various pawns. I played here. Where was I? Knight came to e5. Let me see what that right there, and then bishop d6. So he's going to respond by developing an at least contacting the knight, and now see that knight is hit at least twice. Once by the bishop, once by the knight. So it's just putting a little extra pressure on him, right? And he's not going to worry about that. He's going to bring up his pawn brigade, g4. Oh, wait. I apologize. I did not block g4. That is, yeah, that one. So he says, okay, you're going to pressure me. I'm going to pressure you, right? The queen covers. However, see, this knight and the bishop is both covering that pawn. So perhaps maybe he's distracting him from this. Who knows, right? Well, we are about to find out because the bishop will respond by pulling off the knight. Take the knight, get it out of here, boy. And because of that, he will take bishop. So a knight for a bishop. And now bishop comes back to d6. He maintains his bishop. And so he says, well, I'm going to still chase you, though. I'm going to go ahead and take the c. And the bishop says, that's fine. I'll take the c. But notice what happens here. That's kind of cool. Just something to keep in mind. Is now the bishop, the dark square bishop, is changed over to this diagonal, right? Just stuff like that you want to keep in mind because as I am learning and reading tactics now, this will help you perhaps see some new tactics. And if not some new tactics, at least a couple of opportunities to gain more space while hitting the bishop, which means this move gives him a good move with tempo. Because now black has to respond by moving his bishop. And he does so. He goes again back to bishop d6. That poor bishop keeps coming here and then back, and then here and then back. And notice in the meantime how white is able to keep expanding, giving himself more space. That's kind of. And black gives you the impression he's somewhat, I mean, he hasn't castled yet, so he hasn't tried to connect his rooks. He is somewhat kind of tight a little bit, you know. Now he's going to be in Keto. This is kind of interesting to see because this guy has been trying to utilize, and the pawns have been pushing him back. So he tries to come this way, and the pawns are pushing him back. In the meantime, because of his pawns, now his bishop has a lot more room, which means that bishop is acquiring a better strength. Isn't that kind of cool to see? It's kind of fun. Wanted to point that out too. And you say, yeah, it's just a miniature game, but it's things like this that give miniature their steam, their poignancy. Use a big fancy word. So rook to the C file. Yeah, good move. File you want, all right, even though it's only partially open. Yeah, when you change that C pawn. I know at times I remember when I was playing through some of the old grandmasters, Rubinstein and Nimzovich and those guys, Lasker, they would move their rooks to the weirdest places on the back end. And they go, wow, why? How did they know where to move their rooks? Because sometimes their opponent would not match their rooks on the same file. As a generalization, when your pawn disappears out of the file, that could be a very good file on your rook. So here we go. Look on the file. That is what we see. He will respond with a really good center push. Queen D4. I mean, wow, right? Very cool. And now it is time to castle. Yeah. You've done enough fiddling around. And the nice thing is you've got all your minor pieces out. So now is a good time to castle because you want to bump your queen out, bring in the heavy pieces on the files, which is what he's already started to do, which is more than white has done. Time for white to get with the program here. However, before you castle, there is something really nice you can do, and that is take the knight on d7. Now, hmm, what? Bishop takes d7. Queen takes d5. How did I mess this up? That's not supposed to. Oh, man. You gotta be kidding. I wrote this down wrong somehow. Crap. Did I miss a move? Tell me if I missed a move. I've done something wrong. 3:30 a.m. in Australia. Jim. Holy cow. Oh, Juicer's out of here. Oh, it's all right. We will. I've made an error in calculation with this. I hate it when I do that. See, this is the advantage of the electronics. Because live with this board, I can't go back and restructure the board. Bishop takes d7. I've written that down. Now it says queen takes d5. There is no possibility of queen taking d5. I wrote down white's other move. Oh, I'm sorry. I blew this, you guys. We don't get to see this miniature. Home versus turn. I don't even have the book here. Crap! I hate it when I do that. It was such small, tiny print. It was that great big black Laszlo book. Hold on. Hold on. I wrote down. I'm going to go get that book. I'll be right back. Just be patient with me. All right. Here I come. Here I come. Boy, only on the Backyard Professor do you get this kind of shenanigan. It's out of this great big behemoth book. about 6 inches thick. I was actually intelligent enough to write it down. Owen versus Byrne, 4556, 835. Page 835. Hold on, I'll get this. I'm going to get this. The problem is the uh, print is so small. You think I'm kidding. You can't hardly even read that stuff. Okay, so let me back up a couple of steps here. Owen versus Byrne. I've got the right game. Let's see where I went wrong. 13, Queen D4 castles. 14, Bishop D7. Oh, Queen D7. Duh. I mean, it's so obvious. It's right there on the board. Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, I'm glad I went and got the book. I want to double check. I want to show you this. So, sorry for the interruption of your train of thought. Now, the queen responds by taking. Now, now we get the really cool knight D5 exclamation point here. This is why I wanted to show this to you. Oh, yeah. I probably. Oh, you guys are so nice. Thank you. So the knight, see, it's protected and it was a pawn. But this is what makes miniatures so fun is a move, potential sacrifice, but black must see some. Black must see some because he does not take it with the pawn. He really doesn't. If he because he's got to protect the G7. It's the G7. Did you notice the Queen Bishop battery? Remember, fee and kettle of the bishop. And see, this kind of helps us. You always want to keep your eye open, man. Because this used to get me all the time. It still does. I confess. When they fee and kettle the bishop, for whatever reason, you get all wrapped up in trying to calculate the center manipulations and moves. You forget that there's a bishop there. And then all of a sudden, the queen makes a really weird central move. And you're thinking, hey, I could target the queen, not recognize that. She's not going to stay there very long because she's going here for the checkmate. So this gets good quick. That's a cool tactic. So always keep your eye open on the fianchetto, right? So now the knight continues to F6. Very cool. Check. Check to the king. And of course, this cracks open the king side. It's not going to help with the retake with the knight. And now the rook. So isn't this a kind of a cool contrast? And I know sometimes it used to make my heart, pound harder or whatever when I saw my opponent rook take the open file, right? The partial open. When he got on, oh man, he's going to come after me. He's going to come and get me. I really have to protect this file seriously. Now, there are times when you really do, but there's not a lot of important pieces over there, right? So the C file is of limited, but man, that G file, that baby's red hot smoking ready to romp on. See the difference in the value of the files because not all open files are the same, right? So, you want to kind of, you always have to reevaluate. And as all of us would much rather have whites open file than the black one. And another reason why is obvious. I mean, to be able to get any use out of that open file with that C rook. No, Not really. He never moved up and down. He never got any kind of an attack going. So really, I mean, it's the correct move, but it's the wrong side of the board. And the reason why this worked, and I suspect you strongly already know this too. The reason why this never got anything going is because of that magnificent central push with not only the queen coming up, but that knight. And so that kind of focused black attention over here. And when you begin to notice things like that, you say, "Oh, okay. So I get it. It makes more sense why you're supposed to re-attack in the center." Uh, mm, running. Wow. Long story short, here we go. Queen. Now look at this. Queen sacrifices. But that's the power of the battery. And I have seen these batteries set up, where I mean, sometimes you can't help it. It's the only option you have where the bishop is. Now that's still a battery. It obviously has a lot less power to it. So if when you try to set up your queen bishop battery, try to put the bishop behind the queen, because then you can throw the queen out there and sacrifice her. Well, it always makes a really cool ending, right? And in chess, there's one thing we all want to do. We want to look cool. That's why we wear our Marvel comic t-shirts on live, right? So of course the knight now is going to take. So isn't this remarkable? This is one of the real cool things. The queen is so close, and yet she can't do it. Isn't that amazing? I mean, the rook is just right there, but he can't really do anything. Isn't that amazing? So this shows us that the more forceful move you make, the stronger your game's going to be. And of course, the more forceful move is checking the king, and that is what White's been doing. So at this point, the bishop takes with a fantastic checkmate. So that's a fun miniature, but the actual the way White went about it to set it up, the thing that I did to take away from me, and this is where doing it electronically is so much more valuable because I could just hurry up and visit back to the actual point. I can't remember how the board was set up here. You can watch it back in the video. Um, the way he set it up by attacking in the center and maintaining that central pressure is what set this up so that he could just pow, put a piece out there, get it shot, pow, put another piece out, let it get taken, pow, put another piece out there and get checkmate. That's kind of a cool theme in this chess miniature. So, oh, let's see. Say hi to everybody. Hey, battle card. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate you showing up in my life, giving me the encouragement, and I am too. I'm walking for the next 5 years or so. Yeah, and who? Oh, Ron Bellinger, Rhode Island. All right, thank you. Yeah, Jim has a good point. Even though she is centralized, what's she able to do? The queen. Isn't that fascinating? Because it's not like, I mean, she's right here, but she wasn't useful. She And part of it was because, I mean, you can see she didn't coordinate with any of the rooks. She didn't coordinate with the bishop. But man, why being killed that bishop? And then earlier, remember that big? I believe there was still a pawn here at the time. Remember that big jump, the white queen, blam, and you're going, oh, that's kind of weird. I mean, it's a great centralizing move. It's not like the queen is threatened or anything. You kinda go, "Oh, wow, that's quite a jump." It's more than just centralizing the queen. It was setting up this incredible battery in order to sacrifice his queen to get the checkmate. Power on the file. I wanna emphasize that again. Seems like I always emphasize that in all my videos. In fact, a few years back, there was someone who actually came on and criticized, said, "Dude, do something else in chess. You're telling us about rooks on open files. We get it already." But that is such a powerful win combination when you coordinate some queens and other rooks and even pawns. That's why it's such a big deal. Yeah. So anyway, all right, fun stuff. Fun stuff. Don't tell me you guys are ready for another you're gonna make me bore you with miniatures? It's like you guys are determined to be tortured with miniatures. Yeah, miniatures are fun, aren't they? They really are. They're, I mean, they can be as instructive as anything else too, as far as that goes. Don't discount some of those, uh, longer games of chess, though, for really incredible, cool endgame information too. Some of those 70 and 80 and 90 move games are invaluable, and I'm finding a few of those, and I am gonna show them simply because the end game technique is so important to set up correctly. Of course, it depends on what kind of end game, always, right? I mean, you could have an end game with bishops and pawns or whatever kind of end game is. So there the use of pawns when you have bishops in an end game, you're gonna do a different strategy than if you have rooks and pawns. And if you don't know that, and you don't know how to do that, man, you're lowering your chances of winning. So that's why some of those longer chess games, even though it takes you a while to get, through 88 moves and you go, "Ugh, I don't wanna do all that." Yeah, you really do, because it teaches you how to set up your pawns, it shows you oh, it's all about chess, right? No. You mean we're not playing checkers this morning? Ah. Oh, I'll look that one up, Bobby. Bronstein versus Ullman, 1971, 15 moves, huh? Wow, that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, yeah, fun miniature. Okay, let's do this last miniature I have, and then I'll show you some more traps. This is a really cool miniature too, man. All of the miniatures are every one of them. Usually because we get to see some really razzle dazzle tactics that you normally wouldn't see. Now, here's a crazy pawn opening, isn't it? What do you do with this? Kind of almost like a Maroxy bind. D5, stick it right out there. There! Oh, you think you're going to intimidate me? One on my left and one on my right. I have swords in either hand. I will take you all. To be what guard will take you. And his E pawn, faithful to the end, says, "Okay, I'll take you back." And now the E pawn takes you, and you look at that board and you go, "Huh." You know how some people, isn't it interesting how some people say, "Yeah, but some chess openings are boring." Here's some ultra excitement for you, right? However, there's a very good point. So first off, of course, bring out your knight, tempo, hit the pawn. Make white guard that pawn. You don't have to. You don't have to do all the work. D5, check. What are you going to do? Easy peasy. I mean, you got several options. The knight, you push the pawn, put out the bishop. Heck, man, you could even move the king. You could put the queen out there if you wanted to block. It's not like you don't have something to do to stop. The purpose of this, you know, unless you're going to exchange, but he didn't. He didn't exchange. Now he came back. So what was the point? That just helped Black get a piece developed. Now, true, it's not on an optimal square. Maybe that was the point. Who knows? Let's keep watching. And now, of course, she's going to pull out the bishop. Why not get rid of the castle? You want to do that. You want a castle. And now the knight, knight c3, kind of a reverse London, huh? Usually you have the bishop over here on f4 and the knight on f3. Here's kind of the other side. Kind of castle. More like a Yoko piano, though, huh? Knight G to E2, and well, there goes the piano, but the bishop's still the same set. So knight G to E2, here we go, and bishop to D6. So he's going to shift to the much stronger, more open diagonal here. Kind of not a bad idea. And white says, "Yep, yep, yep. Time to castle. Let's tuck it away, get it safe." What is black doing? You go, wow, what is black? Just observe this board for a minute. Now, we're in the early stages of the opening, right? So, black has a particular setup. Now, the way they did the pawns, it kind of opened everything, right? You don't see a bunch of stuff in the center. They're not pieces in there blocking the center. Pawns aren't in pawn chains running all the way up and down the board. You only have one little pipsqueak pawn, and he's a doubled pawn. Yeah. So when you see this, this will emphasize to you the value of get your pieces out there. Do it now. That's Schwarzenegger. Serious. Bishop takes H2. Kablam! Check, Bubba. You're going, holy cow. If you were white, wouldn't that make you jump? Go, already? I mean, I haven't even hardly got anything out. Come to think of it, neither do you. What are you attacking for? This is a great illustration. I really like so of course it's a bishop sacrifice. Kind of like the Greek gift in reverse. It's the Greek gift for black. And white fell for it. Sucker! Knight G4, the good follow-up. Again, when you and I think pretty much everybody says it this way. Seriously. When you're in the opening and you're developing, try to put your knights out before your bishops. But make sure you get them out there. And of course, and now here, this is a great illustration. Once again, seriously, you can see why from the beginning square of the knight, you want him on that third row. Now, that doesn't mean developing him to the second row is wrong because there's some openings where you got to do that. Right? But really, the natural square is not the third row. And now you see why. Because so early in the opening, but it gives you a follow up. And there's the fun of this. He's got a really good follow up. So, of course, the king's going to go back to G1. It's safer than H1 for obvious reasons because there's only one. No pawns here and no black queens here or here. So the field is wide open. Queen H4. You're going, whoa, quick attack. But it's the nature of that open. Yeah. So now you're in trouble And here's the key. You now have to give your king space on this side to run. There's no question. Sorry. I hope you've done your daily kingly jogging with fire because now you're going to have to run like crazy. The enemy is at the door. So look for a cool little trick. It's helpful to know just in case you don't see this. Yes, you have an option. This is fun, but this is a lot more fun. Check. Because the knight covers both those squares. So take the F2. Besides, it gives you material. Unlike Smirnoff keeps saying, hey, if you can take something, do it. All right, cool. That's what we're seeing. Queen takes the pawn. Bang tootin', baby. King H1. Oh, you are really serious. Rook E8. Now notice he doesn't. Um, and there are times when you can win with just the queen and the knight. But notice he takes a moment to bring in the right in the attack. Now it's obvious a winning position for black. So white has one chance to get this right. You got one chance, pal. You better do it right. D4. So it is available. You got a couple of options again as well. You always have options in chess. Yeah. I mean, you know, nope. That's a waste of time. You could you could really zap him good by sacrificing the rook taken knight, but no, there's a better. Sometimes you do want to sacrifice a piece in order to either move a piece off of a particular square or to cause an actual exchange from a knight to a bishop, say, or from a bishop to a rook, say, or depending on the board setup. But here, wow, stop. Nice. Because you don't want to lose your you want to scoot him over. The closer you get to your king, the easier your opponent's king, the easier it is to attack him. This illustrates that really, really. So, so we've got to come up with some defense. Now, I'm with you. I don't understand why he didn't take the rook. Oh, yes, I do. Of course, I do. Yeah, had he taken the rook's not taken, the knight will take, and then you got check. Yeah. See, at this point in time, the rook and the knight kind of bumping into each other, but it's all good because now you have a third piece in. So yeah, you can't take the, and that's something you want to watch, you know. You can't take it. Nope, nope, and nope. So come over, check, and you can take it. That's a rook sacrifice, of course, and then of course, because remember the H2 and the F2 is covered by that knight. And so there's a nifty little check. And that came about pretty quick. And his pawn is still here. He eventually got joined by his backward brother. Being the stacked pawns like that in the center, you can see that they really have an opportunity or to play much of a role in the game. They're more of a liability than a help. So that's a really cool thing to think about. But man, when you exchange the pawns like it's just basically a huge wide field. Bring your long pieces in pretty quick. Now, black set it up so that all of his long diagonal pieces could shoot down there one after another. Bam, bam, bam. He did have an extra support piece because he had bought his knight out with bishop, and therefore that was the follow up. Remember the G4 that put him in check? That was the follow up that enabled him to get the rest of the stuff. It even gave him an extra play to pull his rook in and then come in. And that rook played a vital role because he sacrificed himself. Get the pawn out. That's good stuff, man. I love miniatures. Fun to fun to watch. So there's 4 different chess miniatures for you guys. Hi, Melissa's Mind. How are you? Welcome. Oh, well, good. Thank you. Appreciate Hey, Twilight Trekker, afternoon. Multibite. Yeah, I'm still at it. Yep. Good to see all of it. Yeah, I'm just having fun showing this particular live session. I've done what 2, 3, 4 chess miniatures now. It's always cool because the chess miniatures have some kind of a really good forcing tactic. And that's the value is you get to learn how to say, oh, hey, that's a good way to play my bishop instead of who I used to. That's more aggressive. Oh, and hey, it does put a pin on that piece, however it's set up. So they're always fun to watch. Oh, I'm glad you came along. Good deal. Good deal. Thank you for coming on, Melissa. Appreciate that very much. Uh, you know, for good or bad, chess has ended up being a more of a man thing than a woman thing. But we have had some exquisitely awesome women chess players, and it's always fun to see the women getting involved. And actually, on YouTube, there's Annie Cramling now, and there's the other gal. Those two are kind of having a spat right now. I'm embarrassed. I can't remember her name. I'm trying to watch their videos. They're really, really good. But, I mean, Susan Polgar and Judith Polgar. Actually, Susan Polgar. I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not. I'm the backyard producer. I can watch streaming live anytime I want. That's the silly thing I do. Sorry. But Susan Polgar, you guys, really seriously, chess tactics for champions. I have not made my way through this entire book. I must confess, that is one of my goals for this year. But what I have seen of this, it's no wonder these gals were champions. Now, you got to remember the reason the Polgar name is so powerful in chess history, and it has absolutely earned a top spot, is because of their father, who wrote this behemoth of a text. Thousands and thousands and thousands, I'm not even exaggerating, of chess puzzles combinations and miniatures. Very valuable. My intention over the course of the next, say, 3 or 4 years was to get all the way through. And I am just, if any of you have seen this book or own it, you know I'm not kidding. It's 1,100 pages thick. It's gigantic. And it's very, 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 very small print. You have to have a magnifying glass to read this stuff, but it's okay. Crammed a lot. Very good source. So this was the Polgar's father that caused these gals to become champions, and I will uh, honor them and share several of their games. Judith was the world's strongest woman chess player, and it's I guess you have to distinguish gender. I don't care just so they play good chess. It is unfortunate that there is still a lot of quote maleness to chess. We're stuck with it. That's the way it is. But I always welcome when other ladies show up, women, and want to learn more chess, there's another gal here, Lori, that's been watching chess, and she's been making comments on the chess videos in the comment section. So thank you for showing up. And I mean, thank you to all the men too, but everybody is welcome on the BYP channel. So that's how it works. That's how it is. Just suck it up, cupcake. Hey, and if we can't be a little goofy, then you're on the wrong chess channel. You need to come over here because I believe in having fun. Yeah, let's take the subject seriously, but let's not take ourselves so seriously. Hey, Twilight Trekker. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the books of the Polgars really are a bit, and the crazy thing is, they keep putting them out in paper. That's helpful. That's really cool. That's nice. They're not overly. Oh, yes, you are, Melissa. You're always qualified. John Cordisco, my friend. Buddy, I'm serious. I saw your invite. I just couldn't at the time, but please don't take it personal. I would love to play you. So periodically, just keep sending me an invite. It was just the wrong timing. I promise. I'm not trying to insult you or anything by declining to play you. I'd love to. So thank you for that. John Cordisco. Hey, you guys, go check him out too. He trounces me every time I play. He's really good. Well, thank you for coming on. Oh, and Claude Grable. Thank you for being here. Uh-oh, sound is not clear. I'm sorry. Is it because I'm moving back and forth? I wonder if I ought to put maybe I'm talking too loud. Sometimes when I talk too loud, my inbuilt microphone goofs up, in which case I wonder if I can plug in my regular mic. Thank you for letting me know about sound. Is it still coming in and out? Right now, I'm just bubbling over with enthusiasm. I'm not saying anything instructional, valuable wise. So sometimes I get over enthusiastical. I wonder if sometimes when I walk away and then come back, the volume goes up. They said these Mac mics, built-in mics, are the best thing they ever made. I've been somewhat mildly disappointed with mine that doesn't, talk about. Anyway, let me know in the comment, please, if my sound has improved while I'm resetting this up. I'm kind of talking away from the mic. I hope you can hear me. I'm actually muttering inanities under my breath while I'm trying to get ready for these tracks that I've got to show you. Fun stuff coming up shortly. Shortly, we will go. Oh, okay. Oh, it goes in and out. Maybe I'll have to quit walking away. After all, I am here to show you some stuff. So why am I walking on? Right? Okay. All right. Now, this particular, let me get this. I showed you the Noah's Ark trap. Okay, and this is still with the Ruy Lopez, the Spanish. The nice thing that Chernev does is he catalogs all of them by the opening, and so you get several different tracks in each particular opening, and I agree with that. But this next little track will show how fast black could go wrong in the Lopez. So let's take a look. And the Rui is very, very old, and it's still entirely used by everybody on across the board and across the ratings. In fact, this is one of Fisher's very favorite. Interestingly, both as black and white. He knew it that well. So, and of course, you got Bishop Knight 5, and all of these traffic shows. You want to see some really cool Ruy Lopez's. Alexander Alekins gave to us in his book. Wow. See how he handles the Ruy Lopez. All of these particular tracks that Chernev shows, this is the typical setup with the pin and then the challenge to the bishop. And then the bishop 4, and then the knight to bishop 3. Now, there's other different plays that you can do with the rook. You can bring the bishop out wherever, but most of these traps are because of the way black plays wrong or else white plays wrong. We shall see. And then pawn queen knight. So he's early on saying to the bishop, "Hey, you gotta go. You gotta get out." So he does. And now this is an error. This is just something to note. This is a memo. You never know who's going to play it this way. Realistically, I get it. It's not one of the popular moves. We're going to show you. But when black does do the bishop to the 4, to the oh no, he came bishop to the b4. Did he come to the bishop? Bishop knight 3. No, bishop b4. Sorry, it's old nomenclature. That's how old this book is, man. He's doing the pawn to king 4 and all that. Yeah, he's not doing the algebraic. Bishop, yeah. When he does this, this is not black. Just kind of make him a little. That's seriously not good. So at this time, this is going to trigger your mind. Ah, now I'm free to take that pawn. I know it's crazy how this works. It's so fun how chess traps work because what triggers you. Turn out will show several of these games where it's bishop to bishop just doesn't cut the mustard, and this is one of the best responses. And of course, the knight. The knight. Yeah. So there you go. And now pawn four. Look at that board. Fantastic. That's why you don't want to do this if you can at all help it. However, bishop to queen 2 isn't the right spot either. Watch. This is hilarious. So the pawn takes the knight, and he has another bishop knight 4. Oh, wow. So now here he can get away with taking the pawn. Before he couldn't because the fork was on the queen file, and the queen pawn back. Well, once it got over to this file, now the bishop can take the pawn, but does that help him? No, it does not. Pawn to bishop 4. Notice what white is doing? He is consistently attacking. It's called the initiative. Forceful moves. He's always making sure that whatever he plays, and I get it, yeah, it's a lot of pawn moves. In this instance, though, the pieces are fluid enough without being on out that is pawns to back them up. The pieces are out far so that white can continue harassing him with pawn moves. That's a forcing move. That's a really important concept to keep in mind. It really does work. Right? Pawn, king, bishop, four. And so, see it, can't you? We're right back to where we were before. That is the third time a bishop and a knight has been given the pawn for. Isn't that blitz crazy? That's I can't help it. If I had been playing this game, this probably this probably shows why I shouldn't play chess over the board because I wouldn't be able to help myself. I would start laughing. How many pawn forks can you make in one game with bishops and knights? You gotta go, holy cow. That is just amazing. So finally, he does something constructive. Bishop, bishop, for check. After all of those cotton picking pawn problems. And now, knight to knight 1. And queen to queen five. You get to win the rook. Not bad. And you go, wait a sec. What do you mean you can move the rook out of the way? You don't win my rook. Bam! Checkmate. Again, this incredible theme shows up. And I'm really I wanted to show you these two miniatures just to emphasize this theme for us, to keep our eye out. One, for us to use, and two, in case our opponent uses this on us. Know when you are under something so blatantly obvious as, I'm going to take your bishop or I'm going to take your rook. You'll want to say, I mean, that's obvious, right? What a beautiful fork. And that's why it makes perfect sense. Centralize your queen. And I know, I get it. You're hardly developed. It's best to put your other pieces out, your minors and stuff, before you put your queen out. I get that. But that is too good of a temptation. You are fucking two pieces. You noticed what you didn't see, you did black. That also sets up that battery with the queen in front. And it just luckily, every time there's a watch this diagonal A2 to the G8, that diagonal is bishop. And if you can, put the queen battery on this reason. The weakest square on black side is F7. There's only one thing guarding king, and that's why it's so. And conversely, the weakest square on white side is F2. Same principle, just reverse. So this was fantastic. If he wasn't paying attention and he moved the rook, you have checkmate. Come on, that's cool. That's awesome. I can't help it. That's one of my favorites. That is truly one of the cool traps. And then, am I boring you yet? Have you had enough traps and stuff, or do you want me to do another one? I have another couple of them that are really fun. If you would like to, I got to write this down that I've done this on my live program. Oh yeah, I've got one that shows a great kingside attack. Oh, and then I've got another one that shows an excellent reversal. Yeah, Ken Brown, me too, brother. Absolutely. Diablo, do you do philosophy vids on philosophy books? I need to. Yes, I will. Okay, Malt Bite, thanks for letting me know. Okay, Melissa's mine says she loves it. Why don't we do another couple then? Let's see, we haven't been going through them. If you guys have time, there's nothing else more fun and enjoyable on a Saturday morning, right? Than watching this old fart blab and blab and think he's showing something cool when he really is. Hey, you guys got to start watching my shorts also. I do dumb dad jokes, and I'm serious. Some of them are really dumb, but it's so hilarious to see some of the people who are responding. They're taking it serious. They don't realize that I'm doing dumb dad jokes, or else they think it's about me. So they say, "Oh gosh," I even had I even had a guy call me rum nose. Rum nose, man. Sometimes my nose, it's my European heritage. My nose gets bright red, Rudolph the red-nosed backyard professor. Can't help it. It is what it is. But yeah, he called me rum nose. He said, "You really have to quit drinking so much because I did one of those really stupid bad jokes." Yeah, I do so many of. It was one of those like the kid tells the dad, "Hey, look, Dad, the snow's falling." And the dad said, "Gee, I hope it doesn't get hurt." I mean, come on, that's just so dumb, but that's the point. Then I'm trying to deliver it deadpan. Oh, I think I have more fun reading the comments than I do making the shorts. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. You got to have a little fun in it, right? Make friends, have fun, laugh a little, work. Otherwise, you're doing something wrong. Life is not supposed to be so difficult, and we can help make it better as we make friends, have fun, tell people the good they're doing, praise them instead of criticizing them all the time, silly, optimistic stuff like that, but it really does make a difference. Let's look at this king side attack on this. And again, this is with Spanish, the Royal Pez. Oh, really? Oh, well, thank you. Oh, Ken, good, cool. Then you've seen some of the hopefully you're not the one that's making some of the comments. If you are, it's all good. Right, Pawn King 4 and the Pawn King 4. Typical, classical, royal Pez, and most of these, like I say, most of these are the classical setup with the pawn coming up and the bishop with rook 4 and then the knight. So this is one line, and this is mostly the line Trinidad focuses on too. My suspicion is he had to make as many trap uh, ideas as he could in just one or two lines in order to get the book published. And it's all good because these really are legitimate traps, and people do fall for it. So it's kind of fun. Bishop 4, knight 3, and now he castles. You castle usually in the Rui, you do castle early, which is always good. And then again, this is the telltale mistake. Just keep this in mind. If the bishop goes to bishop 4, this old nomenclature again, if bishop goes to c5, then that is going to lead to some tactics. That's just not a good way to move. And there are people who do that. I've seen it. And so this is really interesting. This will help you prepare. No, it's not a forcing move yet, but it sets it up so that you do one forcing move another. So lesson should be obvious. We should be very happy to take a moment and put our pawns on the right squares so that we can proceed to system win. So, hey, come on, that's good psychology for us. So, and it's just a little pawn bump. And the crazy thing is, that little pawn bump doesn't even open up the bishop. And in fact, it blocks the knight. So you go, why on earth will I ever make that move? I'm glad you asked that in case you did, because I'm going to show you. This is a wonderful illustration of preparing to win. Prep moves have now look at what he does. He knows that that bishop is going to be attacked, so he pulls it back. So again, bishops end up looking like pawns a lot, and that's not a strategy, a good strategy. But for us, we need to keep our eye pretty peeled that that's a bishop, not a pawn. Don't forget that this pawn is pinned in case later on black gets a kingside attack and you need to chase something with that pawn. You're in deep trouble. You don't remember that the bishop is not a pawn. So just when they do stuff like this, just really burn it in your mind. Bishop, bishop, bishop. That's a bishop. My pawn is pinned. That's a bishop. My pawn is pinned to my king. That's an absolute pin. Can't move that. That's a bishop. Just emphasize that to yourself so you don't fall into tactics. This is a prep move for tactics later on. Just like this is, and at first it looks ridiculous. It doesn't accomplish anything. It didn't help you get out either your bishop or your knight, right? However, be fair to yourself. It did open up the point. Well, okay, there is that. Anyway, I'm making it too long, but that is really an important thing that we lose so much track of all the time is when the bishops get placed on a weird square that we're not used to them being on. I mean, how many games have we seen where the bishop comes and ends up on A7. In the beginning of the game, not very many because this is the king bishop, right? That's just a weird spot, so that's why you wanna alright, I've emphasized that enough, but why? It's really cool. Oh, finally, woohoo! On queen 4, absolutely hit the center, and the knight will take and this is also so typical. I mean, this can happen in the gioco piano as well as the if you don't let's see, he's pushing for the he's gonna put tension in the center, and this is attack mode. This is tough stuff, right? But, uh, another and it's perfectly valid to play it this way. Another perfectly valid way is to say, "Okay, I actually do want to retain my king pawn, so I will fortify." Entirely valid. It does change a little bit of the strategy and the idea and the way you play the game, but just so you're aware, it's not like that's a mistake. It's just a different way to play. So white opts for twice. Something. So just so you're aware. Pawn to queen 4. And so now the knight and it's only a temporary pawn sacrifice, nothing to freak out about. You're not all of a sudden losing. You don't have to start biting your fingernails worrying, "Oh my gosh, what if he takes the G pawn in front of my king? Oh, what if he comes over here and threatens my knight? What if he comes over here and puts my king in check and ruins my pawns?" Well, sometimes that does happen. So you wanna watch that. You wanna be prepared, but don't get tense. And in fact, this is a great response. Put your work on the file with that's a good response. So and it causes black to react to that. Bring the pawn up, F5. In some instances, again, depending on the board, you would want to go down the exchange. For instance, if there was a queen in the vicinity here and it was coordinating very well with that knight, the rook might very well want to take that knight to avoid a checkmate, and you would be very smart to do so. In this instance, not so much just yet, but we're not done yet. So let's keep watching. Pawn bishop to the support knight. So what does he do? Now this is twice, right? He's going to add more pressure. It's a good move because he blocked off his natural square, what is called the natural square for the knight on d3. But this bumps the knight. This bumps the knight, but it's only protected once. So black has to do. You see how white is building up the pressure, and it forces black to begin to react to that pressure. I mean, this is classic chess, isn't it? This is why we love this game, and why God he was hoping for, not going ahead with the knight. And the reason why, once again, he really does have a good look at those 2 advanced pawns. That's nice. That's quite good. Those pawns can cause some serious problems, especially if black will castle and then put the rook behind him, and maybe bring up the bishop or the other rook once he gets fully developed, or the queen. Those 2 advanced pawns, those could be tough. If he was to let white take him, and if white takes then he doubles up the pawns. You see how that completely takes away their power. Yeah. That would show very well how a doubled up pawn is such a weakness because now the rook can simply jump up there and block the pawn, if not just take the pawn. Yeah. So those become targets. So, I mean, that's just kind of good stuff to know at this point because he threatened the rook and then he threatens with the knight. It's okay to exchange. So he does. Very good, very good. Get that knight out of here, and the other knight will take the knight. And that's the proper piece to take that knight with because with these connected pawns, they start coming in here and threatening the knight, and you have to move away, and you don't have time to get other pieces in. Black gains the initiative, right? He starts calling the shots. So go ahead, just names the knight. That's all good. But Black makes an error in calculation, and he advances the pawn. Let's see what happens. Astounding. Probably a move I wouldn't have done until, of course, I played through this. And then I saw, hey, that's pretty cool. Everybody's still with me. Oh, thanks, Ken. Good. Knight. Kablam. Whoa. And you're saying, wait a minute, didn't that pawn have a pawn supporting him? Indeed, it did. Look at the changing, look how it changes the character of the position, though, to do that. That is what is so important. He cast He has to castle because there's a wicked discovery check on this. And the pawn being pinned is not going to do him any good either. He's got to castle. And now bishop comes out, queen. Wow, what do you do? White's on fire. Knight can block. Now remember, that means your knight is yeah, I mean, it's okay, it's not a crisis, you just have to keep that in mind, "Okay, I'm gonna put my knight in front to help save my queen, but that means I can't move it again without losing that nice block." That might be important in many situations. And now knight, knight 3. And now rook to b2. He's gonna guard the knight, and now queen so here we get a we've seen a couple of games with queen bishop battery on the diagonal. Now we're seeing the queen rook battery. And this is interesting because it's sometimes and more often I would suspect better to put the rook in front of the queen. But it's all good because even this type of a battery, because you're going to be playing against the queen, it's okay. Queen king 2, king bishop 1. And now the knight takes the pawn, and it is inevitable that white is going to take. So black's in trouble with this. No, there's no checkmate, but winning material going into a winning endgame is also incredibly valuable for these types of traps. So there is that one. Okay, so that's kind of a fun trap. Everybody doing good? Everybody still watching, kind of, sort of? All right, you want one more? I have one more that is one of the really nifty reversals in strategy and well in the consequences. One of them goes on the attack, and it's just a really powerful attack, and you don't see how he's going to get out of it. And then all of a sudden, the roles are reversed because of just one small minor misstep, and This is why we like to study chess because we hope, hey, man, I hope my 2,000 opponent makes a misstep, right? But don't play hope chess. We want to get to where we solid strategy chess, and that's what we're all working toward. So it's all good and it's all fun. So let me do one more. Oh, one more. Okay. Hey, Marco. Marco Dime, good to see you. Okay. Yeah, let's do one more. This reversal, and it involves my favorite type of attack, the king side attack. So let's take a look. And again, this is with Louis Lopez. And again, you'll notice the pattern. And this is fun to keep your eye out on. This is the value of seeing um, so many different, so many different uh, traps and ideas. The king knight out because when he develops the king knight, he's hitting the pawn. So the way to protect the pawn is develop the piece, which is the proper piece to develop first, the knight before the bishop, as a general rule, and support the pawn. So it makes logical sense. This Ruy Lopez. Well, this will block. Now, if he doesn't push the pawn, and I've seen this, and I think I've done it. If, say, black decides not to push the pawn and just does this to attack the king pawn, then there's times when you just simply take that knight. It's interesting, isn't it? If you did take that knight, you're actually attacking that pawn with the knight. That's kinda cool, right? That's if he doesn't push the pawn. Usually they will, though, pretty much. So bishop rook 4. Yeah, and knight bishop 3. He didn't, though. Oh, no, no, no. I'm sorry. Hold on. Pawn and then bishop 4. I don't wanna skip a line. I'm just saying. Keep it on the lowdown, Bubba. Yeah, so and now yeah, now then he'll cast. Now see, he hasn't pushed his queen pawn yet, but he hasn't necessarily taken that as a signal to take it. So it's not like one of those situations where if he doesn't move his pawn, you must always take the knight. No, chess is very rarely like there are always many fun options. So we've got the bishop rook 4, knight bishop 3 out, and now the castle. Oh, and he's got the castle. So and then again, here's something we want to keep our eye for. Bishop c5 or else bishop 4. Just never really a good move. So keep your eye for this one. You might have tactics coming up pretty quick. That is the signal. And again, we've seen this in several of these where you can now take that pawn with the knight. Knight takes the pawn, and of course, you're expecting the knight to take the knight, which it does. And now the queen pawn. Oh, man. Where I blew it somewhere. What? Hold on. Let me start this over again. I did something goofy. I don't know what I did. I apologize. See, with the electronic stuff, I could redo it. So much easier. It's all good. You guys like this board, and I do too. Hold on. Let me redo this. I get talking and I lose my way. Okay, pawn king 4. The old nomenclature doesn't help me much either. Sorry, I'm not trying to waste your time. Knight king bishop 3, good. Knight queen bishop 3, good. Bishop knight 5, yep. Pawn queen rook 3, yep. Bishop rook 4, yep. And then the knight, bishop 3, yes. Okay, he did castle. He did castle. And now the dubious bishop to bishop 4, and now the knight takes the pawn, and the knight takes the knight. Uh-oh. Bishop, bishop 4, white knight takes the pawn. There's only one pawn that knight can take. I swear to goodness, I played through this before I did this. And now the knight takes the pawn. That's where I'm getting it wrong. Black knight. Boy, I'll get this, I promise. So the white knight takes the pawn, and the black knight takes the pawn. Now the white knight takes the knight. Correct. The white knight takes the knight, and the queen pawn takes the knight. Here we go. Well, I'm just saying. So here's the interesting development. And technically speaking, you kind of go, isn't that dubious pulling your queen out so early before everything else is developed? Because you target, but you really are hitting. Remember, you've got a pawn pin. Of course, that pawn not going anywhere. To the check. But you've also got this, and this is a vulnerable spot. So the queen to bishop 3 might be significant. Queen rook 5 is seriously interesting because it's an interesting way to guard the knight by bringing your own queen back out so far, because the queen knight combination on a wing can be really dangerous. Kings, white has to play heads up. So let's get some more pieces in. Notice how he hits the knight twice again. Queen, and now the knight. And the knight will take that knight. It's very important. Bishop is going to take the pawn, check. Look at this. Now we get to see the queen and the bishop with bishop in the front. It's interesting how we set this battle up, isn't it? Because this time it's much harder to see this way, because this time it's not directly with the queen in front of the bishop on the same diagonal, vice versa. The bishop in front of the queen on the same diagonal. It's different diagonals. They're coming at it from different directions, but it meets in the same diagonal. And that's what makes this so complicated. Is bishop takes pawn. It's a forcing move. Bishop takes pawn. Really neat. Bishop takes pawn. Check. Pawn takes the bishop. Now observe this. If you're black, you can see what's coming. The queen is going to take the pawn and fork your king and rook, and you're going to lose both rooks. And yet he goes for that. This is really instructive. Yeah. Well, I mean, you set up the battery, so you're doing nothing but winning. Look, you're hitting the king, you're hitting the rook, you're hitting the bishop. That is a spectacular place to put that queen. Bishop blocks. Queen takes rook check. King, king 2. Queen takes rook. This is a complete debacle. Black is getting completely mowed over. Another principle that we see here is the art, the power, the goodness of a counterattack. And here we go. Check. The counterattack with the most forceful move checks. Uh-oh. Has White overextended himself? Can he come back and save the day? Bishop takes pawn. So white was able to put together a spectacular bishop queen battery, opposite diagonals, which netted him two rooks. We see Black now doing the same thing, putting together a bishop queen battery in a very remarkable, interesting way. That's the only thing he can do to save the game. Pawn, king, rook three. Queen's coming down because of the combination of the knight, and yet he takes the queen check, or he takes the pawn. Queen has the pawn. I mean, that's an amazing queen sacrifice, isn't it? That's astonishing. He's down material, and he's sacrificing the queen. That's incredible. Pawn takes the queen. Bishop, bishop, three, check. More pieces into the attack. This is the part that I really enjoy because he had three. Now he sacrificed the most powerful piece, of course, because that changed the pawn structure. That gave, say, a better access to the king, right? So that's why you sacrifice the piece sometimes. It didn't get rid of the pawn, it moved it out of the way so that he could do more forcing, which is always really cool, right? But you've only got two pieces. Bring another one. Bring everybody to the party. We are going to swim in the king's swimming pool, his private swimming pool tonight. And he's not going to be able to. So the king to rook two, and the bishop knight six. Check. A very cool looking checkmate with the bishops and the knight cooperated. And yet, white had powerful attack. Look where his queen is. So this is kind of cool to because psychologically, you're playing along and you put together a really cool attack and a combo, and you see the fork and it works, and you get a rook, then whoa, another rook, and so you're cruising along, and then all of a sudden you get blitzed. You get blitzed. You go, wow, because you relax. So don't ever give up just because you're getting clobbered. And this is another lesson I've got to learn. Sometimes when I get down a piece, I go, wow, I don't even play this game anymore. I blundered a rook. I'm done, and I resign too early. It's hard not to get into that habit. But a lot of us do. If you persist and carry on, and just play solid chess, which means get more pieces developed and move them closer to your opponent's king, then you might be able to develop a counterattack, which is what that was. Fun stuff. This is what keeps us coming back to chess over and over and over again, right? Yeah, baby. I'm just saying. All right. I have to. Yeah. There you go, Chloe. Awesome. Okay. Hey, I am to my almost 2 hour limit. Um, I appreciate everybody. I've got to call it good for now, but I will try to do. Did it help you that I advertised it last night? I'm going to try to do that on a Friday night if I can get a Saturday night live. And if I do a Sunday night live, I'll try to put up another schedule on Saturday night. Who knows? I may find or discover some stuff tonight, today, that I want to show you. And so I might do another live tomorrow morning. I'm not sure. So I do have another live session tomorrow night that I do for my religious Mormon ended audience. I could do some recording, so keep your eye peeled. Go ahead and like this and subscribe and hit that there's a little bell, it's like a Liberty Bell up in the corner, in the top corner. If you'll select that, that's your notification button. It'll let you know when I'm either live or when I posted a new video or whatever, so you can come and check it out. So and welcome to all you new viewers, whoever you are. I know I'm getting many new subscribers, and so I know some people are interested in the philosophy, some are interested in chess, some are interested in Mormonism, religion in general, etc. So I'm trying to do a little bit of everything, and it's a boatload of fun. But my real love is chess, and and Marvel comics. Poor, poor. Shame on me for not mentioning the mighty people of Marvel. Oh, the imagination of man. I mean, the imagination of man. This evolved, developing chess game. The greatest thing ever invented is terms for gaming. So even better than electronic video games. Yes, I know they're like being in your own movie. I get it. They're fun. My favorite was Skyrim, and I enjoyed the Assassin's Creed series, all that jazz. But not even Go. And Go was fun too. The Japanese game Go, but it doesn't outshine chess. We keep coming back to this. I'm telling you. So I'm going to head out for now, you guys. I appreciate everything. Oh, absolutely. Awesome, Melissa. That's cool. So I'm gonna head out, and I will see you potentially tomorrow or potentially tomorrow night or next week. Watch during the week. I try to upload videos as I can in my shorts. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you for all your love and support and time. Go out there and kick rump on chess. Remember, we're having fun yet, and we mean it. Smile. It makes people wonder what you're up to. I'm serious. That's a lot of fun to do. I am not kidding. All right. Oh, cool, Marco. Yeah, more years of good chess coming up. Woohoo! See all of you soon. You bet, Ken. I'll see you soon.